General Operations Committee meeting
Thank you.
to order.
Yeah, there's extras here.
It is 7:20 on October 2nd. And Commissioner Jones is going to give us the invocation.
Dear Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time we come together, Lord. Help us all do the county's business to the best of our abilities, and help us not to have personal gain in mind while we're doing any of this, Lord. We ask that you be present with us during this time. Amen.
Amen. I have no changes for the agenda, so I will. Anybody? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes from September 7th.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry?
Who made the motion?
Schmidt motion, I say.
Thank you. Report of the chairman, I have no report. Mr. Mayor, do you have a report?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I do. I'm located one piece of information. We'll find that shortly. Let's see. Starting with the archives, there's several things that we can discuss on this. I'll be happy to discuss it at the time of that agenda item, or you want me to go through it all right now?
No, I think we can go ahead
Okay.
and do it at the time.
Okay, well, let's move on to update on new courthouse parking structure. That's on schedule for June now. So still working on that. You may have more to add. That's the latest that I've heard. The estimate from Joey's on the Gallatin Library, we're still gonna have to bid that. So, I know Joey's did the work here, but their bid has expired. So that will have to go through the RFP bid process, to move forward with that if the budget so desires. Securing the Draper House. We got the PO back. So I think it was the next day we ordered a PO. It took them a day, and then the following day we called. It was Mr. Goodroof. Mr. Goodroof says they're about 2 weeks out on getting it done. So as soon as we hear back from them, they should. We're looking probably 2 weeks. So should be coming up here pretty soon to get that done.
Great.
So, and I will save. Let's see, I will save the archive roof until we get to it.
Okay. Great. Does that conclude everything for you then?
Well, I will tell you, the other piece of old business, we did get the architectural agreement was approved by legal on 9/28. So we're moving forward with that process with the architect for the roof. So that's
the jail.
the jail roof, yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay, I have nobody in recognition of the public. So let's go to old business, item 8A. I imagine everybody saw the mayor's response regarding the bids and my response to his suggestion. I would entertain a motion for discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. When we were talking about the specifications for that roof, I've been up on that roof 5 or 6 times, probably more than anybody in the county, maybe except for Terry Moss. The problem, the major problem with that roof is not the roof at all. It's the parapet that supports the mansard roof. And what we have in the specifications that drove it up to the 80,000 range are several. I put them all in my email to the mayor. I hope everybody read it, but specifically the sheet metal cap on the top of the parapet is, to replace that is about a $20,000 hit. I believe that the infrared scan of the insulation is unwarranted at this point. I don't see that there's any major, and probably not even any minor damage to the insulation. I just haven't seen it in all the trips I've made up there. The request in the specifications for sweeping off debris is going to happen regardless, because when the contractor removes the handrails and does all the other work, he's gonna have to end up sweeping it. So that's an unnecessary requirement in the specifications. The walking mats are not a major issue. They're up there. They will require maintenance like everything else on the roof does. In my experience on that particular roof, the biggest problem we've had is HVAC equipment people going up and making minor punctures. But the vast majority of the leakage comes from under the parapet. Now, I did, and I believe everybody saw it too, David Lawing sent an email that said we would have to rebid it. I don't understand that, because there were two bids for the entire project. They were widely apart. And if the one who won the low bid just excluded his itemized items, the $20,000 for the roof cap, the infrared scan, and the $7,500 budget item in there, and the 4 other small items, we will be under $50,000. There is no need for an architect on this project. It's a simple replacement of vinyl siding and with an EPDM membrane, and remove the handrails. It's really that simple. And so somebody is going to have to explain to me why we would have to change the specifications if we only had 2 bidders, and when we could easily be under the $50,000 required. That's Mr. Jones.
Was it also considered that they're removing those handrails? Are they also getting rid of them?
Yes, I mean, there probably will be, and I don't believe it was in the specification, not that I recall, that there could be iron that could be recycled.
It's aluminum.
No, the C channels that are holding the handrails.
Okay.
The handrails are a hard foam material. They're not wood.
I thought they were aluminum.
Now the ones on this building are aluminum. The ones over there are a dense foam product. And so the only thing that could really be recycled, because I don't think anybody's going to want those handrails and those pickets.
No.
Would be the upside down iron seat channel in the outriggers.
I was thinking they were just like these.
No, they're not. They're not. Any other discussion, questions?
Another question, nobody else has any. The scanning, or the infrared scanning of the roof, that's to check insulation, but does it also check for leaks, for where water is possibly under the roof?
That's, you know, what it does is you see the heat difference on a sunny day.
Right.
The water will be a different temperature than the straight foam. And so personally, I've seen no indication of severe water infiltration in that foam insulation. I just haven't seen it. I could be wrong, but.
Well, the only reason I question that, I don't question anything else that you've said, except for that, because I saw in this building where the water was in there and repairs were made or neglected for a long time, and water stayed in there for so long that it ruined the underneath side.
And I would,
So,
because this project is parapets and removing the rails, I would have no problem. Once we've gotten rid of the major leakage, to go back and see. I don't see why we can't do this project in phases. I don't know why we have to do it all at the same time.
that's true. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Couple things. One, we can't do it in stages because that's illegal. That's just, it's not my law. I didn't write that law, but we are talking about a roof project. So we have to look at it as a roof project.
Mr. Mayor, we're
we
not
have
talking
to-
about, we're talking about a parapet project. We're not repairing the roofs, we're repairing the parapets.
We have damage on the roof that we need to address. We have leaks on the roof that we need to address. We have ponding, we have mole runs on the roof. We have discoloration that shows the ponding. We have UV degradation leading to compromised membrane. Let's see.
You will never find
We
a
have-
roof that does not have ponding if it's a flat roof. That's a fact. I'm sorry, go, look at the sheriff's office, look at this roof here.
But we have mole runs that show evidence of the
Yeah,
membrane.
what runs?
Mole runs.
I don't even know what a mold run is. Oh, mold runs.
Yeah, mole.
Due to loss of adhesion under the membrane. It's $1,500 for the infrared. I think that's a value. The $7,500 is not an expenditure. The $7,500 is, thermal scans is $2,500 was one of these estimates. The $7,500 is just an allowance that has to be accounted for. That was included. On certain things, since you don't have an exact value, we do an allowance for. Doesn't mean we're going to spend all $7,500. We've got one valid bid on this project. If we change it, if we change any part of the scope by law, we do have to rebid it. The Garland report, you saw the Garland report a while back.
Mr. Mayor, could you
And-
restate what you said? I missed it. If we change any part
Any part of the scope, we have to rebid it.
of the
We have
scope,
to-
And that's
the
a
scope of
state
the
law
project,
as
we
well.
have to redo the RFP, and then we have to rebid it.
I want to be clear on the terminology of the scope, not if we delete line items off
Well,
of.
that is changing the scope, Commissioner Jones. Because the scope is written specifically, and then if we change that, we
But, I mean,
included in
that's-
that scope, per our discussions at this committee, we included in that scope the Garland report.
Okay, if it addresses everything that we asked for and there's no extras added, then I would agree with that. Like if they add things that they think is in the scope that we didn't line out specifically, then that's not changing the scope if we get rid of them. But if we ask for it and we change it, that is changing the scope. That's where I wanted to differentiate. If we're talking about a small amount of money to try to get under $50,000, I want to try to help you get there. So,
Who created the specification?
The specifications was sent out to
the
you.
scope.
I know.
The scope, that would have been done through Marshall and Kim.
Okay.
And then it goes to finance, and then they have to do their work on it, whatever they do, and put that out for bid. Finance department handles bids.
Marshall went up on the roof once with me, and I don't think Kim's ever been up there. So somebody else must have been involved to take those pictures.
Of which pictures?
The ones that were in the specification that I've got here.
I'll have to ask them who
here.
actually took the pictures.
Okay.
I know they're in charge of it.
I would just, how much difference are we talking about to get under that 50,000 refresh?
Well,
You're trying to knock things out to get under that threshold.
Yeah, I am.
What's the difference?
well, it's at 80-something thousand right now. And if the big ticket item is $20,000, which says to remove and replace the cap, which there's nothing wrong with that cap. And in the process, you would have to slightly push it out, slide the EPDM underneath, and then you have to there's a sheet metal skirt that also slides under. There's no reason to spend $20,000 replacing that cap.
Do you know that it could be done without taking the cap off to get
Yes,
those things?
I do, I've talked to the contractor. I know for a fact that does not have to be replaced.
So things like that, where I'm saying, did we tell them they have to pull that out in order to fix what's wrong, or did they elect to do that? That's where I'm talking about the scope of work. That's where we could get around the scope of work and not,
Point of order at the end of the table.
I wanna know what they're saying, and I want them to know what I'm saying. So I just
I
wanna all
just,
get on the
I
same
just
page.
ask, you know, if you want to go that route, I'm just asking the mayor, if we go with his, what do we really, you know, and I believe the figure's $27,000. So, I mean, I'll be right open with you. I mean, we're talking about $27,000. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, the cap is how old on the building? You're talking mold runs. I mean, you know, most contractors I talk to are gonna tell you, take the safe route. And I'm not reacting this way because you're telling me I'm having some kind of secret meeting, because I'm not.
No.
But
No, we're just trying to keep
for,
order.
no, I get it,
I
but
just wanna
you're
make sure
you're talking a
everybody's hearing
small amount of
everybody.
money to, I just, yeah, the cap, you know, you replace the cap, you want to do it right, because if you skip one and you have a problem 2 months from now with that cap, then what did we save?
Yeah, I mean, if you're making good points, I wanna hear 'em.
No,
That's-
no, I just don't want you to,
That's-
just for the record, I wasn't no secret powwow here with the mayor. I just simply asked a
It's
quick
not the
question.
process. It's not the way
I think
this
she's
works.
just
It's
questioning
not
the
by
process,
rules,
'cause I wanted to
and
hear
you're out of
that.
order.
Let me bring it back to order here, Mr. Mansfield.
I was just gonna try to clarify a little procedural. No offense, but having two conversations is out of order procedurally and parliamentarily. So when somebody's speaking at the table, you guys need to make sure that you're paying attention and listening to that guy at the table or gal, and not have sidebar conversations that could be distracting, so that other people might want to hear as part of the procedure, because that technically was out of order. So just reaffirm that. But I just want to make sure you guys are having a conversation that can actually be heard and discerned and deciphered, so there's not disparate information happening at the same time. So I think that's what it was, not about
Right,
secret, it's
yeah.
just a matter of procedure.
And I was
So-
just saying that for the record, because, you know, I'm interested to see, you know, what's going, you know.
Well, what I would say to you, Don, is that the specification we had from a couple of years ago that the mayor referred to said replace everything and do it
Yeah.
for $450,000. That's the real safe way to go.
That's not what I'm referencing, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I got a report from Ms. Norfolk, and it said to spend $450,000 on that roof, and that was from 3 or 4 years ago. So that's, if that's not the one you were referring to, but then I stand corrected. But my point is that if we wanna, yeah, I mean, it's our decision to make here. I'm just trying to make the points that there's nothing wrong with that cap. It does not need to be removed and replaced. To me, the real issue there is the parapet walls, not the roofing. If we get the parapets fixed, which is what I have seen has been the biggest part of the flooding inside the building. Flooding is a strong term.
Leaking.
Then we could go a step further. Now, I don't know about the law, why we can't do the parapets now and do the roof later. That's a legal question.
It's because you can't bust up a anticipated whole project into pieces, claiming they're each individual project.
So if we had to paint up there, the painting would be part of the project as well.
Well, that would require architectural review from the standpoint, well, it depends on if it crosses the money threshold, but you don't have any questions about structure, degradation, and things of that nature, which if there were any question about that, my advice would be to get the architect involved. But again, we're not talking specifically about this.
And the argument.
But to use your analogy, that's like going in and saying that you've got to get authority to spend more than $50,000 to paint. Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this building in 4 quadrants. I'm going to do it at $25,000 a leg. And the state specifically says you can't do that. If it's the anticipated project is the complete project, regardless of how you decide to tackle it.
Yeah, I just don't understand how they break it up, because this is the equivalent of a wall, not a roof. And so, but you know what, I guess at the end of the day, an architect's gonna cost us 7%, is that what?
I don't know what the going rate would be. That's out of my wheelhouse.
I think it's 6%. I remember hearing that number.
6%. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. So I guess if we, it's just another delay. It's just another delay.
It's an unfortunate delay that I don't like as much as y'all don't like. I wanna get that roof fixed.
Yeah.
But, you know, we know that we have to have an architect. It's over the limit. And we have to address all the leaks on the roof. If we're gonna fix it, we need to fix it right.
Back to what I was saying, after all I went around, I never got to finish. So, I was trying to help get to underneath that threshold with the argument that you were making by asking those questions. Hearing what was going on over here, I wanted to hear what their argument was about it, and if the difference is only the $27,000, that's gonna make the difference, and we get new caps on the parapet wall and everything, I don't know that it's that big of a difference, especially if it gives us more longevity out of the roof.
Well, you know, the sheet metal, and that stuff, I believe, is powder coated, and it's showing no signs of degradation. At most, I would think that they would have to recaulk some of the joints because it's made in sections. But, you know, if it's the will of this committee to go ahead and hire an architect because we have to, then I guess that's where we're.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, but if it's truly, you know, can't bust up the project and get it under 50, then, I mean, we have to.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go.
I was just, that's the key to me in all of this, is what is the project? We're talking about parapets, or are we talking about roof leak? We're talking about all of it together. What exactly is the project?
That's why I want to see the scope of work.
And that's what I believed the scope was, is because when Commissioner Moss and I went up there, and we saw that the leaks were almost always 4 feet back from the perimeter wall, that's directly below the parapet.
So the scope of work is repairs due to water damage from some leak?
It's replacing the vinyl siding that's up on the vertical parapet wall with EPDM roofing. There were some tiny little leaks in the roof itself, but the vast majority of the leakage, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Moss.
But basically, the scope is a leaking roof that's being fixed. If I were to
It-
boil it down to its
Yeah,
essence.
it could be a looser scope, and we could fix a lot of this by having not as tight of a scope.
Okay, well,
Or
kind of
my analogy goes the other way, because if you say this is what we're doing, but it's gonna take all these things to get to that point, then you get across the $50,000 line, then you're right back to this need an architect.
But to my point, if your scope is to fix the leaks, and whatever it took to do that was under 50,000 because we didn't say, and we have to do this along with it to fix the leaks, now we can have a looser scope of work that we, you know, hey, the leaks were fixed and it only costs this amount. They could quote it differently, but if we tell them what to quote, whether it needs to be done or not, we're tying ourselves up with our scope of work.
I'm not following.
You're wanting to leave the parapet walls, the caps alone. Why can't we do that? Because they were included in the scope of work, that's.
Yeah, it's a $20,000 hit.
Okay, well, if the scope of work was just fix the leaks, and you don't have to mess with the caps to fix the leaks.
I see, so you're saying make it broader, just.
Make it a
fix the
broader
leaks.
scope of work, fix the leaks however possible and as cheap as possible.
Well, that's not the way a specification works.
And
though.
the problem is will the contractor warranty his work without doing,
It may be too late to do
One
that.
over the
I'm
other.
just saying,
Yeah. Commissioner Mansfield.
Mayor, I might make a recommendation. You guys, as a committee, can basically vote to scope it out how you want to scope it out. and then put the bid process back out based on what you have scoped it out to be. I mean, that is an option.
If it's gotta go back to bid anyway, which is what the mayor's saying,
So you're
correct?
basically-
It's
you
gotta be
could-
rebid.
Ask, basically
Well-
make that, or not that portion that you're saying is not necessary, and then put it out for that.
But we're saying it's
That's
not
what I'm
necessary.
saying.
Is the contractor saying otherwise?
Contractor's not saying anything.
Okay.
If you change the scope, okay, and you don't fix the roof, you fix sections of the roof, you're violating the law.
Only if you come back and fix
Because
other parts later.
Only, yeah, so,
That's
I
not what I'm
mean,
saying.
and in his own email, he says at this point in time, nearly all the leaks would be fixed. Well, okay, by default, you're saying there's still some leaks out there, which is absolutely true. So at some point, you gotta come back and fix the other leaks. So if we scope it to get under this magic number of $50,000 to circumvent the law, and then come back, I would venture a guess that audit would not be happy with that. Because how long are we gonna wait on the other leaks before we go back to fix those after you scope it just to fix the paraffins?
Okay. Well, any other questions?
Well, please speak to that. Is he correct that there's other leaks on there that we would have to neglect to get out of
As I
there?
said in my email, there will always be other leaks. There will always be leaks to roofs. If somebody walks up on that roof and they drop a screwdriver,
Yeah,
there's a good chance there'll be a leak.
yeah.
Fixing it right now, if we put a wetsuit system, which is the same that we're gonna be talking on most of the jail, and we do all the parapets and we replace all of the sheet metal on top, there's still a good chance that in a week we'll have a leak there.
But
If somebody goes up on the roof.
I guess the question I'm asking is, in this scope that we're doing now, is our intentions to fix every leak that we know about?
Well, there are leaks that we don't,
Is our intentions to,
huh?
The word known needs
yes,
to be used
thank
here.
you. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
If is our intentions in this scope to fix every leak we know about?
yes.
Okay, if we can get under $50,000, I don't see a problem with the law and being in violation of an auditor or anything, because that was in our scope to fix everything we knew about. The fact that some more have to be done later will be new information at that time, not at this time.
Well,
So,
I will ask Commissioner Moss, who's been up there most recently. The leak that showed itself last week,
It's in that office up there.
it's in the office.
Same office,
And it's right underneath the parapet.
yeah.
There are no other leaks that you saw in there?
I think it might be one in the room where all the pictures are. In the one beside the,
Here again,
Cafeteria.
underneath the parapet.
yeah.
Right. So, anyway, I firmly believe the problem is the parapet's not the roof, but we're a committee here, so I've beat this to death.
I don't understand why we would spend more money than we have to if that, I mean, I know we're beating a dead horse and not, this is all I'm gonna say, but like, why would you spend the extra money if it's not necessary? If you could fix the parapet and just the parapet and fix that and it fixed the leaks, how much money is that gonna save? How many, $30,000, $40,000?
Yeah, $30,000 to
Okay.
$40,000.
That's enough for me.
Okay. Commissioner Moss.
When they do this work, will we have a warranty on
I didn't look at the warranty aspect of his proposal. Did you, Mr. Mayor?
No, I've not looked at the warranty.
it sounds like we're
it? If it's
moving
not-
towards putting it out to bid again regardless. one
Well,
way
we
or the
have to
other.
put it out to bid regardless.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
So, in doing so, could we just put a better scope out there that would get us what you're looking for, Mr. Chairman, but if it can't get there by the bid because they have to go further in order to give the warranty or fix all the leaks, then it comes back as that bid and see where we're at. But if we loosen up the scope to where we don't have to have all those things included, or we can line item nix things that we don't think necessary, as long as the scope is adhered to, can we just do that and keep that in mind when we put it out for bid again?
I don't know. That's probably a question for you.
I'm trying to take a broader approach to this. If we think it's just the parapets, then the parapets can be the scope. I mean, that's all you gotta do. So you just gotta decide on what your scope is. What's the problem?
Here's the,
Yeah.
Either you need an
I want
architect or
even-
you don't. Don't try to
I want
navigate
even
around.
broader.
That's all
I
I'm
want
saying.
to fix the leaks. That's the
Yeah.
scope, but we suspect that they're in the parapets.
Yeah.
And
well, the other thing is,
I know you have to be
I will
somewhat
be
specific, but-
amazed if, in removing that handrail and doing all the work they're gonna do, that they don't create a leak or two in the roof, which they'll have to fix.
yeah,
So we're never gonna know what the leaks are and what they're not.
no, but that solves the problem of the law, which we're worried about getting in trouble with the auditor. So I'm not worried about that part.
Okay. So, yes,
I just wanna get the leaks fixed. This has been going on for 2 years.
yeah.
Come on, guys,
So we can't
let's
fix
get
them.
together on this.
So we can't fix them unless we put it out for bid though, right?
Yeah, if we're gonna change the scope, we gotta put it out. If we wanna leave the scope the way it is, replace the sheet metal, then, and, you know, the infrared scan and all that stuff,
Then it's gonna be what it is right now.
then it's gonna be what it is.
Yeah, I'll make a
right now.
motion just to move forward with what we've got. You know, the infrared scan, I think, too, is good because we don't know visually if there's anything hidden. You know, when you're doing a scan, you don't, you know, that's the purpose of the infrared
I second.
scan. I mean, I understand it's more money, but how much more money?
Motion, Don?
Yeah.
Okay, and we got a second discussion. Mr. Mansfield.
Help me understand, is part of this repair, that how you said it's removing the railing around the entire archives building?
That's part of the scope.
What is the cost of removing that railing
Looks like it's right around $10,000
for that portion?
for that
So,
portion. Yeah.
removing the railing is a must, because that's what's causing your leak. You have screws going straight into the deck.
No, this is a different kind of railing. It has very little to do with the leaks. It's an upside-down C channel, and the rails are on it, and it's running to an outrigger that connects to the parapet wall. It's totally different than what we've got here.
Okay, so that's what 3 years ago, it was gonna be $37,000 to remove the railings of both buildings.
Oh, okay.
Both buildings,
Mhm.
and repair the holes from the leaks. And so that.
There would be holes on this roof, there will be no holes on
The
that.
previous commissioner wanted to spend almost $400,000 just to replace the railings, not replace the roof, just replace the rail. When we had a quote for 37 grand 3 years ago to remove the railings, fix any holes that were causing any issues, because pulling the railings out of a flat roof, so, or whatever part's going around, at least on this one. So I was just trying to clarify what that cost is today for, and that, does that include debris removal?
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
yeah.
it's in full
Yeah.
scope.
Yeah, it's $8,431.
Okay, so that's a good portion of that.
Right.
A good portion, but
Mhm.
percentage. So, yeah, I was just trying to clarify that, as far as part of, what you're looking to do.
Yeah, so, okay, so any other comments on the motion?
I won't support this motion because I can't, once again, justify money that's not necessary. We don't know, it could be necessary, but until I know for sure, if I was replacing the roof of my house, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let's throw $100,000 at my roof when it could in actuality only cost $20,000. So I will not be supporting this.
I want to ask Commissioner Miller, what would you suggest we do to find out more information about that?
I'll make another motion when we see what happens with this one.
I mean, I can just tell you from experience, I mean, with roofers, you know, with my own roof, since we're bringing residential into it, yeah, he recommended a few things that I thought, yeah, it's gonna cost me more money. But I'm thinking long-term, like flashing, could use the existing flashing on my roof, the wind turbines, all that. I'm thinking, in the grand scheme of things, $40,000 for a county this size is, I know it's a lot of money to us, but in the grand scheme of things, with the size of the county, it's not a lot of money to say, let's just play it safe, do the infrared scan, do the capping, let's get it right, so we don't have to come back here, say, 2 months from now and say, yeah, we gotta do another part. Yeah, you know, so like with stuff like that, I'm always erring on the side of caution. That's me. My own roof, I did the flashing, I did the gutter guards, I did the wind turbine, all that extra stuff to play it safe from a residential standpoint, and that was a few $1,000s more. This, you're talking, of course, a lot more, but, you know, do you really want to have to deal with this problem? You know, potential problem, again, if something else happens.
I really want to hear another plan before we vote on this, because I'm not certain how I want to vote yet, so I'm not ready to end discussion, that's why I'm pushing back.
Well, when you say another plan,
Well, an amendment or something instead of a different motion.
well, I think we have to vote on.
We can have two motions on the floor, right?
But it has to be accepted by the original, correct? No?
You can make an amendment in a second, and you can make an amendment to your amendment with another second. So you can have three things going.
And then
at
we
the
could
same time.
also have a motion to reconsider previous motion too, so. All right, I'm done.
Okay. Well, if there are there any amendments being proposed?
I would like to make an amendment, but I'm not exactly sure how to word it. I mean, can,
Yeah, we'll help you with it. Let's just talk.
I mean, I would like to amend it to not spend the full $80,000. I mean, it has to be
Rebid.
rebid.
It's gonna be
Only
rescoped.
if we,
Rescoped.
only,
You can't do the bid, it's gotta be re-scoped to do the bid.
no, if it's rescoped, you have to rebid.
Yeah, if we
It
make
can
any,
stand like it is now,
yeah, it can stay right now, the
Well,
way
that's
it
the
is
motion
now.
now.
yes.
And the determination, Mr. Mayor, was to not go with the metal siding, it was to go with the EPDM, correct? For
That would certainly be my suggestion.
Yeah, $82,280, yeah. So if we make any changes to this, it has to be rescoped.
No, rebid,
If we make any changes to the scope,
it has to be
it has to
rebid.
be rebid, correct? Or we can stay with what we've got here at 82,200. So, do you still have an?
I mean, I would like to make an amendment to rescope it,
So-
for the parapet wall.
No, it is parapet, right?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
It's parapet now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's-
So, you got an itemized list right here, what do you wanna cut out?
I don't have an item.
Where is this list
I don't
everybody's
have an
referring
itemized
to?
list.
Oh, this was the bid. Did y'all not get the bids?
No.
No, I
I
saw Dave
got
look at
it,
something, I
because
saw
I
you.
got it.
I thought it went out to the committee.
It did not.
I thought the chair sent that out, my apologies.
Okay, I would remove 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I would use the existing flashing on the top of the parapet right now, which I know is a $20,000 item.
So, who's gonna do the loose debris, the flashing repairs, the puncture repairs? We're not gonna do a thermal scan. We're not gonna inspect the walking mats while we're up there.
Right.
And you're gonna cut $20,000 out. And they're gonna fix that for free. They're gonna remove that and put it back on there for free.
What?
The capping piece. that
They
you're
won't
talking-
remove it. It doesn't have to be taken off. The
Why did they
material.
put it in their scope to take it off?
I don't know why that's in the scope. I didn't write the scope.
Well, excuse me, why they put it in the bid to take it off?
Because it says in the proposal, or it says in the scope, to remove and replace.
Is that what's underneath of the railing?
No, it's not underneath the railing. It's open to the sky. See, if you,
But why would they remove it and replace it?
So I guess the question still is, who's gonna do this work?
well, the contractor is gonna have debris up there anyway, so he's gonna have to clean the roof.
So we're gonna tell him that we're not gonna pay him $714 for that,
No, because he's already,
okay?
yeah.
Well, if he's doing the flashing repairs, we're gonna tell him that we're not gonna pay him for that either? The flashing work on the parapet?
No, I said we get rid of that, because I don't know what flashing repairs we're talking about. I never saw any flashing damage. Did you, Terry?
Well, right there at the, we call it piper, what do you call it, wolf?
Parapet, yeah.
They got flashing. It could be,
But that, part of the contract is he's got to roll that EPDM and use a 3-inch tape to attach it to the existing roof. So if that's the
Okay.
flashing we're talking about.
So, yeah, there's other flashing up there that need to be worked on. And then there's punctures that we addressed that would need to be worked on. Thermal scan to identify where there's moisture under the membrane.
Mhm.
So are we gonna come back and look at this
At what?
at another time?
You mean to go up on the roof?
Yeah.
And inspect it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna rescope this and we're just gonna do
The parapets.
the parapets,
Mhm.
and we're not gonna do all of these other things, the flashing, the puncture, all of the other roof,
Mhm.
since we're on top of the roof, and it's all one roof, when are we going back to look at this?
If we have a leak, we'll go back and look at it, like we do any other roof.
But what about the flashing? What about the repairs on that? What about the mold runs? And the Garland report, the pictures that we saw of those?
Okay, somebody's gonna have to show me the mold.
I showed,
runs.
the committee saw the Garland report. I shared that with the entire committee, and we talked about putting that into the scope of work, the RFP.
And that's a
And we
different,
agreed that that was all one project.
Guys, we're talking about, and this is my opinion, we're talking about peace of mind just to do it the way it is for a small price. I hate spending, look, I hate spending money. My wife will tell you that I hate spending money, but this is in my opinion, this is a small price to pay with all the stuff we're hearing here for peace of mind to prevent a problem that could occur. I mean, I'm not trying to be impossible, but again, I mean, we're beating a dead horse, I think, over a small amount of money for peace of mind to, let's just get it done right, and then just move on to the next project instead of, kicking this thing the field even more.
we hear you, Don.
I mean, that's all I'm saying. Like I say, I'm not trying to, argue with you, but again, I think it's just a
Hear you
small
loud
price.
and clear.
If
Jones.
we get rid of everything out of the scope of work that we're trying to get under the 50,000 mark, we have to put it out for bid again. It comes back 51,000. We're still
We're
back,
still, yeah, we still.
having to hire an architect again,
Yeah,
and that's another 6% on top of that, right?
that's
So
$3,000.
there is no guarantees even doing this scope work. We could save some money in the end, but might be back up there making patches. We're gonna be back up there making patches regardless of whichever way we do it. So it's gonna be more money in patching later. What do we get in the warranty with this $100,000 bid here?
I don't know.
Was that the amount, $100,000
The what?
on that bid? What did I say at the end there? The total was
That was-
100,000. Something else? Okay.
While you're looking, can I ask a question? Just
Sure.
For legal. So since we've already sent this out, and this is what we scoped, then we come back and we're like, oh, we don't like this number, so let's re-scope this, and then there's an issue, and because we're trying to get it not under, but under this 50,000, what legally, I don't know what I'm not saying it right.
Will it come back to bite you?
Yes, that's my question.
You could.
Because we changed our mind and redid, just curious. And then it's still leaking after that. If it is, I'm just playing devil's advocate, that's all.
And I would like, just from a legal aspect, to say that all of this picking at this, at the end of the day, I think what you're gonna be left with is a project with no warranty.
Well, that's why I wanted to hear this before I make my decision. If you can find what kind of warranty this has on it. Do you know, Mr. Mayor?
Pardon me?
Do you know if this has a warranty on it?
I'm
This bid?
looking
Oh,
at-
well, yeah, I mean, it's gonna have a warranty. What the exact warranty is, I don't know. I would have to look. I apologize, I didn't have that ready.
Yeah, I've got it right here, but I'm not seeing the warranty. Siding removal and metal wall panels.
It would be helpful to have a copy of that.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I don't see, remove existing siding, vents, house wrap from walls, fully adhere 45 mil EPDM. Rubber will be run out 6 inches onto existing roof membrane and sealed with a 3-inch seam tape. All flashing to properly terminate the wall EPDM to the flat roof will be included for Carlisle EPDM specifications. Remove the existing coping metal and run EPDM membrane up and over the top of the wall. That's why it's gonna cost $20,000. That's item 3. Install new 24 gauge joint arm metal coping cap in standard colors at the top. All existing dryer vents will be removed. We will add one certainteed static sloped back flat vent. Material warranty for the new wall EPDM will be 15-year material warranty from Carlisle. So that's
So
what
the
the
material's
warranty.
warranty.
Yeah, on the vertical wall. Labor guaranteed for 2 years. Qualifications and exclusions. It's a 15-year membrane. Existing shingles will not be changed. Per the RPF, we are including new coping metal around the whole perimeter. To keep costs down, we did not include this in our previous proposal. New coping is not needed if a skirt metal is installed under the existing coping metal and properly terminated. The new 24 gauge coping done correctly adds about $20,000 to the proposal. So this was one of his exclusions and qualifications in his proposal.
And that final bid does have that 20,000 in it?
It has it in it, and that's what I would propose we remove because.
Did he say if needed?
He said, per the,
I saw a choice in there. Some of
per
the
the,
language
yeah,
said-
well, the choice for siding removal and metal wall panel scope, and even the mayor, doesn't agree that that's necessary. So per the request, the RPF, we are including new coping metal around the whole perimeter. To keep costs down, we did not include this in our previous proposal because I had brought a proposal from him earlier. New coping is not needed if a skirt metal is installed under the existing coping metal and properly terminated. The new 24 gauge coping done correctly adds about $20,000 to the proposal. So what he's saying is if he didn't have to replace that, it would be 20,000 less.
So there's a potential he won't have to, or he does have to?
He says, he told me on the phone, he doesn't need to replace that. There's nothing wrong with it.
So that bid could come in, that actual cost could come out 20,000 cheaper anyway.
Right,
So we're looking at between 62 and 82.
yeah. Which we'd still have to get an architect. And the architect may say, hey, you need to replace that coping. Yes.
So another $3,000 for
Yeah.
$3,500, 6%?
Yeah, Commissioner Moss.
When you run it up that wall, you got to overlap it at the top. Because if you don't, it's gonna come right back down if you don't put that new cap over it.
Well, what he's saying, you run it all the way to the bottom side of the cap, and then you have this 12-inch sheet metal, so it adheres. If you run it over onto the shingles, yeah, you're probably gonna get, now you've got a double covering. You've got the EPDM and you've got the sheet metal on top of it. Yes, it's a double coating as opposed to a single like it is right now, so.
But if it gets under the EPDM, it's still gonna be out against that metal, it's gonna be trapped under the EPDM, so.
Yeah.
The water's under the barrier, it doesn't really matter, it's gonna
Yeah.
cause damage.
It's not a boat. It's a watershed. It's
Yeah.
not waterproofing, so,
I think we've heard as much as we can, and there's not much we can do about it to save a considerable amount of money that won't take even more time to save a little bit of money. I hope the citizens appreciate that we've tried to hammer this out and save as much as we can, but I think I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Well, we have a motion on the floor and we have a second, and that's the motion again, Commissioner Schmidt.
To move forward with this today.
To move forward with what we have today. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Nay. So it's three. Okay. Motion passes. Moving on to progress on roof of Sumner County Jail. As the mayor said, there is, and I've split this into two, we have a specification that's been approved by legal, and so we can go ahead and bid that.
Yeah, we're going through the RFQ for the architect, and getting that on board, and something
Okay.
back to you.
Item number two, I have spoken to the head of sales, which is not Melanie Lenahan, it's another guy in Texas. And because of questions that have been brought up at the state level, they have withdrawn temporarily until they get a clarification from the state whether they've withdrawn the proposal. Now, just to let you know, they were wrong about the energy that the array could create. It's not 23, it's 68% of the total usage. Yeah, what they did is once they got the signed letter, they spent some money and got into the real details. And so they discovered that with the array system they could put on, it would save 68% of the electrical at the jail, not 23 like they had told us in the past.
That's considerable.
However, all of it's moot until the clarifications are made regarding the lease and the roofing, and that's what they're working on right now. So we can go ahead, move forward with the specification. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to see that specification. Absolutely. Because after this specification of the archived roof, I want to see it, and if you could advance it on to everybody on this committee, I would appreciate it.
Does this need to stay on old business?
Yeah, I think for the time being, we'll keep it on old business. So anyway, that's just an update. There's no motion to be made, I don't believe, on either of the items. Mr. Jones.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The state, so this delay of hearing back from the state is surely gonna cause the traditional bid process to be faster than this.
You need a motion to discuss.
Okay.
Discuss it, 'cause you're-
Motion to discuss.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go ahead.
I know that we're running those parallel, the running the roof the traditional method
Mhm.
versus having the solar company provide the roof, is that going to cause the traditional bid to win out necessarily? Or do you know what the timeline is for the states?
I don't, and they told me that they would get back to me. He said the minute he finds out, I'll be his first call.
And are they aware of that to where they're still interested, even if we put our own roof on it, of putting the solar panels on to give us the cost savings?
We didn't specifically talk about that, although in the past, with Ms. Lenahan, we did talk about that. So, and she said yes. The possibility exists that they would buy the roof from us, make sure it passed their specifications.
They would reimburse us for what we
Yeah.
paid.
Yeah. That possibility exists. And so that's why I don't wanna let this thing die, because what ended up happening is our financial, David Lawing did some checking out, and it caused some questions in Williamson County. And so they have put things on hold until they can get a clarification from the state or CTAS or somebody. Once that determination is made, because they've already been doing stuff with Williamson County, lots of stuff. So they've been doing it, but now there's a question about it. As soon as the question is resolved, then we'll know whether we can move forward or we just go with the bid.
And are you waiting to hear from somebody at Roof Connect or somebody from the state?
He is the head of sales at Roof Connect in Texas.
Regardless of what Texas, I'm sorry, if I can interject, regardless of what they say, it's gotta pass the comptroller finance in my office before.
I understand. I would like to make sure that we're talking to the state as well, not
Oh, yes.
taking
yeah.
their word for it. Like, I think we should hear from the state before we hear from them.
No, Eric will be on top of it.
Okay,
before
as long as somebody's
anybody's-
working on it, then that's good.
Yeah, so.
Because that's
Yeah,
like 63 from 23, 68 or
68%.
68%, the majority of the
electric
power,
would-
that's
would
could
come.
be a considerable savings.
It
So
could be a
I don't
considerable
want to let that
saving,
go
yeah.
either.
So, moving on. Mayor already talked about item 8C. And 8D,
Is, excuse me, is C gonna be old business?
yes, yeah, it'll be old business because it's continual.
Okay.
Gallatin Library maintenance estimate from Joey's. So, Mr. Mayor, are you just gonna go ahead and bid that out then?
Well, I have to go through budget, we'll need an appropriation for it.
Okay,
Yeah, so if you forward it on the budget,
will.
budget passes it, then we will bid it.
I'll get it on the map, okay? I'll get all the spec. Okay,
Just so
You're
you
gonna
guys
make a
can do it.
motion?
Oh. do we need to make a
Yes,
motion?
yes.
Okay.
Motion to move it to budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Securing the Draper House, I only have one question with that, and we may need help from somebody in the audience. The doors, do we know anything about the doors being,
My understanding that's in Mr. Goodroof's bid. I thought I saw that on the bid.
okay, can I make a motion
Suspend the rules.
to discuss, withhold the rules, right?
If we're going to
Yeah,
audience,
suspend the
suspend the
rules.
rules. That's what-
Suspend the
that's what I
rules.
said.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Tracy, go ahead.
So in the bid is the cost to install the doors. The doors are being manufactured, and so we've just asked for an update. But the doors should arrive at the same time Mr. Goodroof is going to install them. So there had to be custom ordered.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've already ordered that. So
Okay.
I'll.
So everything is moving forward in sync?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Good job.
Okay, we'll bring it back to order. Did you have a question? No, okay. Okay, so that, new business. Organizational chart for the county. We talked about this last month, Mr. Mayor. How's it coming?
Well, that would be an HR function. I don't have access to the names. I think finance would probably be the best point of reference for that, because I don't think legal has, I mean, they may have access to the names, I don't know that, but I think HR is primarily a function of the budget committee, or, I'm sorry, finance department.
Would they also be able to create the structure?
Because they'll know every department.
Okay, so I should go to Mr. Lawing about that.
Yep.
Okay. We can take that off. I will go to David about that. Okay, I gave you all a handout. This was brought to my attention by Commissioner Boyd and the head of the Gallatin Library. The parking lot for the library is adjacent to the court, and right now there is a walkway that runs directly from that parking lot. If you can see this, here's the library's parking lot. There's now a sidewalk, and they're very concerned, as am I, that everybody who wants to use that courthouse will use the library parking instead of this parking structure that is slated to finish sometime next year. And I would like to make a motion that this committee research, and I'll do it, research the costs of some sort of a wrought iron fence with a lock that the library has access to, that would keep a barrier between the new courthouse and the Gallatin Library.
Motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So, discussion.
I mean, where else are they supposed to park?
Well, the parking structure
That's not finished.
that's not finished is gonna be over here.
Where? Can you hold that up and stuff?
It'll be right here, right behind the church.
Okay.
I see what you're
There
doing.
is on-street parking. The problem is that courthouse will eat up all the parking, and there will be nobody going to the library.
What? Go ahead, finish your.
Yeah, go ahead.
Line of questioning
I mean-
first, I got some too.
Once again, we put the cart before the horse, and we have this beautiful new courthouse, huge courthouse. And we have nowhere to park to use the courthouse. So I understand that the library doesn't want people to use their parking lot, but how many people go to the library? Or do they fill up the parking? This is a serious question. I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
being
it
a smart aleck.
is a serious
Like,
question.
how many people are parking at
There's
the
an
library
aerial
versus
view
the
right there.
courthouse? I see it.
12.
That's what I'm looking.
I don't know if it's an open conversation or not, but the county does own that property.
I mean, should we
I said
allocate
15.
some of the library parking,
Yeah.
so many spaces? I'm
Huh?
asking, I'm just want discussion.
No.
Should we allocate so many spaces?
I'm with
for
you
the
on
library
this.
and for the courthouse at the library? And then that's it? But how do you
How do you police
manage
it?
that?
Well,
How do you
I got
police
an idea
it?
for that.
And, I'm serious when I'm asking where the courthouse is, this whole lot, there's no parking. So where are you gonna park to go to court?
Well, until the parking structure's done, that's a really good question.
I mean, it's a problem and it's an
It's-
issue that we need to address.
Yeah, it is.
I wonder why,
True.
what, if there was ever a plan for temporary parking for the courthouse, because how many months is it gonna be before that's ready? June? You say June of 24, and when's it gonna open? January or December?
Probably latter part
Probably.
of January.
January, so 6
Sometime.
months or so,
Right.
5 to 6 months of no parking in a usable courthouse, so it basically makes it unusable.
Like I say,
But
it would be a fence with a gate.
I understand that, but we got some parking there for use We just can't control it.
Just open the gate.
Well, no, but opening the gate, how are you gonna do that? You gonna keep people in, keep people out of the library, or?
Well, no, the gate would be a wrought iron gate that would have a lock and a hasp on it, and until the parking structure was done, we could just leave the gate open.
So you're putting a gate here,
No,
a fence between the two, right?
The fence, if you look on the back of yours, you can see I wrote new fence
Yeah.
and new gate. So it's about 26 feet of fence and it's about a 10-foot gate.
But my point is, even if that is put there, that's still the only parking anywhere around. They're gonna walk all around the block and park their car there at the library.
If you look at the other one, you can see there's on-street parking right there.
Yeah, but that's gonna fill up. That's
Oh,
what
of course
I'm
it
saying.
will. And so will the parking structure.
I'm not opposed to either idea, but I'm thinking like Chrissy, maybe some of those can be allocated for courthouse, and we could put some signage up and use it to, charge people the overpark, fees, ticket them, whatever, give them a certain amount of places if we can give them
All of these things are
like
possible.
2 rows, give them 2 rows or something. If I ask the library how many they use on an average day and how many do they have,
Yeah,
I think we should use what we have.
Mr. Mayor.
But I just wanted, there's the entrance from this road down here,
Could you
So
look
if-
that up?
right down here on this road.
Mhm.
If they come in this entrance, park, walk through the library, round into the entrance, they bypass the gate, the
Yeah.
fence and everything.
Cut through the library.
That's a really long way around, but they could do it. You're absolutely right.
You gotta get to.
They
Yeah,
could-
when it's
if
raining, it's
only-
gonna be much better than on the street.
If it's the only
Yeah.
parking in town, they're gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does the city of Gallatin have anything, any input, any ideas for?
I haven't talked to them,
Said
Mr.
parking
Mayor.
issue.
Seems like this should have been talked
No,
about.
everything
months
rests
ago.
on the parking garage, I apologize.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
Get out there and do
the
it.
Yeah,
best I can tell, there are no plan Bs.
But that
Right.
should have been thought about a year ago.
Put out a public
The
notice.
only one I know at this table who would know about this is Mark Harrison or Jeremy Mansfield, because they were here last time.
Was there any
Mark-
discussion?
Oh, Mark was
about
not?
that?
Okay,
No.
so it's just you.
It was, I was since you, it was not addressed. Parking was an issue. It was a major point of contention. They were looking at condemning property, which wasn't popular to be right here on the square because the property owners weren't gonna sell. So then they got a less than ideal location somewhere else further away, a couple blocks away. But yeah, there were also several other alternate locations for better parking garages that Mo Taylor mentioned during meetings, over here to the right, not here where it is.
Right.
So, but no, you're just, it's a problem. Gallatin's got a problem. Gallatin wanted it, and they don't have, nobody had a solution to this problem. So now you're seeing the manifestation of that, such as you didn't have a solution also to pay for new employees for this either. We're having to solve, which was brought up in contention at the time.
This is gonna be a problem no matter what. You got 7 judges all running a docket at the same time. You've got a general sessions docket that has some mornings a minimum of 75 defendants in the courtroom. You've got juvenile court going on. You've got all of this other stuff going on. This little library issue, this is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna have to come up with some serious response to the 6 months it's gonna have, because it's gonna eat up parking
Or they
at
don't
City
open-
Hall, everywhere around that farmer's
Or they just
market
don't open
area.
the courthouse until they got parking.
I feel like
It's
you
just
can't
like it
really
is
do-
right now, right?
I hear you, I hear you.
It's just business as usual like right now.
I hear you. But.
Because the due date has
wailing and
always been
gnashing of
contingent
teeth is
on-
where-
Is that a motion?
The parking garage.
Church.
I'm not.
Hang on, everybody.
Yeah, may I interject? So, maybe some of you don't know, we've agreed to give part of the parking garage to the seniors also.
Right.
I don't think once the parking garage is completed, we will still have near enough parking, because we're giving away like
Oh,
100 to
Isn't
senior
that many?
towers. The new garage we're giving away to the people in the towers. Christian Towers get part of that.
I didn't think it was that much.
We will not have, in 6 months, we do not have the answer then, because there still will not be enough parking. So the conversation needs to be, we've got to find more parking.
What about the church?
No.
I mean, we got, there's something,
The church is
So-
taking
Too late.
parking garage.
We're-
I got you, I know.
It's too
That-
late.
The
I
church is
understand
what?
there's some councilmen with some property they're gonna wanna sell.
True.
But I just wanna say, how much parking do we need when it's full? And Eric probably knows better than anybody in here how many people are in there and how many spots. we're
What's the
gonna need.
maximum amount of, that courtrooms would possibly see, all 7
Oh,
courtrooms?
you hit a holiday, you have double dockets, like you have 200 people in one court, on one court call day.
So how many does the parking garage hold?
345.
12.
And that's not
That's a little
including,
bit.
that's not including the employees that work there.
Christian Towers.
In Christian time.
Yeah, it's got, I
How
asked.
is that,
Rick-
not- how is that an oversight? How could the old commission have not,
This whole
foreseen
thing is
this?
bad for me, so I don't know what to tell you.
That's insane.
Hey,
It'll
but
work
it
out,
would
don't
be
worry.
pretty.
Well, you
You're
know,
not gonna solve it.
we're not gonna solve
You
it.
can't make new
It's
land around
condemnation,
here.
it's
It's
just like you
not
said.
gonna, it can't.
All I'm bringing up is the possibility of gating off the library parking.
I would love to do that for them, but I don't know that you
Yeah.
You're
can
not-
even address that until the parking garage is open.
This Smith Street right here.
And even at that point,
We
I don't know.
can push it off to a later date, but I
You're not
guarantee.
trying to solve the problem with the parking garage.
Well,
You're trying to protect the
all
library.
I was trying to do was get a jump on it because
People are gonna have to
a
walk.
26-foot long wrought iron fence and a gate is not a big deal and it's not a big cost. And so I thought if we get it in place to begin with, then we,
You might need to talk to fire and codes people for Gallatin, because there could be, with a building like this, they may have certain egress procedures. and
yeah,
things.
well, that would be the next step.
Is all general session coming over there?
I think so.
Okay, why can't we use their parking lot? It's-
Where is that the one right on South Water?
It's the back of the church, isn't
Next to
it?
the jail.
Back of the
Yeah, yeah. Across
Isn't the
the
back
street
of the
from
church?
They'll
jail.
have to walk.
That
No, it's
jail, we need to
behind the
run.
courthouse over there.
Yeah, I mean, look what we got
Across the
now.
street from the courthouse?
Yeah.
No, it's
We
behind.
can't, what we got, where we at now? We ain't
Next
got
to
no
the bail
parking lot.
bonds place, right?
Okay, well, like I
Somewhat
say,
of it is, yeah.
I was,
the back of
I
the
was
church.
bringing up something. Do we have a motion? Can I entertain anybody with a motion to postpone
know
to?
what a motion would
Yeah,
be.
let's talk about this.
Old business.
Can we put it in old business?
Yes,
Let's do
absolutely.
that. That's a great idea.
Absolutely. Put it in old business.
Great idea.
Okay.
So you withdraw your motion or to die for lack of a second? She's gotta record it, right?
There wasn't a motion. Or-
Yeah, he made a motion right off the bat. Okay.
I try not to make motions.
Gotcha.
Okay, and item C, this is a quickie, but I'd like to make a motion to discuss.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I've been on the work order system, and there have been updates to the actual work order documents. The master list has not been updated yet, and so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I don't know if you get on there very
Yeah,
often.
she's got the individual ones, she's a
First.
bit swamped with finance right now,
I
working
get it.
through POs.
I
But,
get it.
all the individual ones are updated.
Oh, yeah,
Who is she?
who is she?
Oh, Ramona,
Oh, Ramona.
that name.
All right. Any other discussion on this? I think we can kill it. And then there's one more motion.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.